you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years,
The sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. And Pierre, I know there's a topic that everyone wants us to address with what happened in the game last night, that the Edmonton Oilers won 6-3 over the Dallas Stars to advance to the Stanley Cup Final for a second straight year and arrange a rematch with the Florida Panthers. We will definitely do that. But one thing I don't know if you're okay and on board with this, Pierre, I think you will be, is let's focus more on what Edmonton's been doing great as opposed to how bad Dallas might have been in certain areas. I think sometimes we don't recognize the positives from the winning team as much as we recognize the negatives from the losing team.
Well, that's what we tried to do yesterday. It wasn't that Carolina was so bad. It's that Florida was so darn good.
Exactly.
And we talked about it. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the same exercise that I did with you yesterday. Let's do the center ice exercise.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Barkov, Bennett, Lundell, Nosek. Those are the four centermen that play for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's do the four centermen that play for Edmonton. McDavid, Draisaitl, Henrique, Janmark. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Different styles. Bennett's not offensive like Draisaitl, but Draisaitl's nowhere near as nasty as Bennett. Lundell is probably a better player than Henrique, but he doesn't have Adam Henrique's experience. Adam's already played in two finals. You know, he played one in Jersey and he played one in Edmonton. This is going to be Lundell's. Actually, this can be Lundell's third. So actually, I'm wrong on that. I spoke too quickly. And Nosek and Janmark. Janmark's got more speed. Nosek's probably got a little bit better hockey sense. So it's a little bit closer. But I think you would still give the edge to Florida.
I would.
Even though McDavid and Draisaitl are an amazing 1-2 punch.
Yes.
No, Barkov, Bennett, Lundell is 1-2-3 punch.
Yeah, I agree.
These are like these little exercises I try to do when I'm gauging on who I think has an advantage over this team or that team. So that brings us back to your original premise.
Yes.
Dallas versus Edmonton.
Exactly.
Please just look at the center ice position. And Rope Hintz was not 100%, especially
Basically on one foot, from what I could tell.
What's that?
It looked like he was playing on one foot, basically. Like he was hurt.
That's a good call. And this, Bouchard didn't help it very much.
No. They clearly, as much as they could within the parameters of the rules, sometimes crossed over it, but they did what you got to do in the playoff hockey.
That's why you don't disclose injuries.
Yep. There you go.
And nobody disclosed it, but everybody saw it. That's one of those where you could figure out. That's why Lou Lamoriello has the best line of all. Overall body soreness. That was his line. So anyways, let's get to last night.
Yep.
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right. So you want to get the goalie thing out of the way first, or we want to talk about Edmonton?
Why not? Let's go. There's no need to hide it.
I texted you right away, and I think we've made it pretty evident on this podcast that we're big fans of Pete DeBoer. I know you know him personally. I don't, but I love him as a coach. The interactions I've had as a media member have been tremendous with him. But I immediately texted you. I said, I love Pete, but I disagree with this decision when he pulled Oettinger. I didn't like the way it went down, where Oettinger didn't seem to know he was getting pulled, and he had to call him back over. And that's that. It's as simple as that. I disagree with the decision. And it definitely, I think, had a emotional effect. I know what he was trying to do. He's trying to jumpstart the team. You're trying to shake the team up. I get it. I don't disagree with that. We've seen coaches do that for the test of time. The only bigger issue I had, actually, more than just the act, was afterwards. And I just think, and look, he's in the heat of the moment. His emotions are flying. It's a lot easier said than done. I've never been on that side of the podium, but I just felt like he could have handled his words a little better, Pierre. But again, I get it. You're raw. You got everything flowing out of you. I think maybe when he got home or a few days from now, he might step back and say, I maybe could have handled that a little better. And that's my take on it.
Well, yeah, that's good. Those are all fair things. My take is simple. I think he miscalculated. If you're going to go swing for the fence and you strike out, That's on you. That's not on anybody else. He swung for the fence. He struck out. That's not a knock on Jake Oettinger. That's not a knock on Pete DeBoer. That's not a knock on Casey DeSmith. He swung, the coach swung for the fence, and he missed. He struck out.
Yep.
He did. So
Yep.
he wears that. Now it's what you do afterwards is how you got to manage the problem. It's because it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's why I've quantified it as a problem in my own mind. I could be really wrong too, you know.
These are all our
Here's how I'm looking at it. Just haven't been around a few dressing rooms in my day. I haven't seen one player say, our coach did the right thing.
Mm-mm.
In fact, every quote I've read from a player has been, we let our goalie down.
Mm-hmm. Which
I don't know how it's going to sit with guys because now it's 3 years in a row. See you later, Alligator, in the Western Conference Final. That's a lot of heartache.
Yep.
That's a lot of heartache.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't matter. I'm proud to call Pete DeBoer a friend. I'm proud to call Steven Spott a friend. I know Alan Nazardine since he played junior hockey. I know those guys, that staff really well. They're really honorable people, really good hockey men. I don't know the Russian coach at all as a person. I don't know him at all. And I don't know his coaching methods. I just don't know him. He's not been in my peer group over the course of my 35 years. So I don't know him. But what I would say, they got some fence mending to do there.
I'd agree.
They have some fence mending to do. And I think knowing Jimmy Nill, that'll be part of the debrief with the coaches at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what happened. Now what do we do going forward? Because they got to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot start next year with Jake Oettinger not knowing exactly where he stands with the management team, the ownership group, and the coaching staff.
Yes, I agree.
You cannot because you're asking for major trouble.
I agree. And I would even say, Pierre, so you figure today's Friday. When do you think they're going to have their exit meetings? Monday?
Probably start today or tomorrow.
Okay. And when will they do the media thing, would you imagine?
Probably Monday.
Okay.
Final starts on Wednesday, so you don't want to do it the same day. So I'm going to say Monday.
Would you say that if possible, if you can all get on the same page, you need a unified message on Monday when you meet with the media? If I'm talking in terms of the coaches.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And the management.
Yeah, but I think that they'll have that.
Okay.
Because they'll either have, we liked it, but it didn't work, or we didn't like it, and because we didn't like it, how are we going to fix it?
Yeah.
So Either way, I think you're going to get one. But here's the bigger problem. That's going to be the focus, and I don't think Jimmy Nill's going to let that be the only focus. There are issues with their team. What are you going to do with Jamie Benn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's an issue. What are you going to do with Mikael Granlund?
Mm-hmm.
Free agent. What are you going to do to make your defense at the back end, I should say, better? What are you going to do? Do you have enough internally to make your defense better? Your farm team, Maverick Bork got called up to play, and his first shift on, he high sticks a guy in the face.
Correct.
So is he an A-level prospect for you? These are all hard discussions. I'm taking you inside what happens.
Yeah. No, I love it.
These are all hard things you got to do, and it's not really for the faint of heart.
Pierre, I'm gonna be the annoying media guy right now because I just know it's coming. But I wanna ask you if it comes, which I do expect it will. A lot of media will say, "Oettinger ask out." And
he's gonna ask out.
That's what I'm wondering. If I already seen people out there saying he should demand a trade. He should do. I'm not saying that's correct, Pierre. I'm not on their side. I'm saying if that comes up to Jake, if you were Jake Oettinger and you're sitting there on the exit meeting with the media and you're in that scrum and a reporter says, do you still want to be here? What's your answer?
I'll tell you right now, I was drafted by the Dallas Stars in the first round. I left Boston University to join the Dallas Stars. I've had an amazing amount of success with the Dallas Stars. They've treated me and my family amazingly well. I love my teammates. This is where I want to be. I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And this is a massive year for me personally. I still owe my teammates a lot. We haven't got to where we want to be with me being the starting goalie. I know I can be better, and I know our team's got the capability of going as far as we have to go. That's what I would answer.
All right. I love it. I agree.
Not every look at my thing is way different maybe than what Jake's thinking, because I don't have to live in his body and deal with this stuff. But you don't think like over the course of my career I've had people be mean to me?
Yeah. And I've seen you just high road.
This is part of the deal. And that's why I'm so impressed by Stuart Skinner. Think about what's been written and said about him, and think about how mentally tough and physically tough he's had to be. You know how many kids I train in the summer, and it's early in the morning. Like, it's not easy. Like, it's a commitment. And people say to me, like, do you get paid to do that? I'm like, no. Then why do you do it? I do it because I want to give back to the game, and I want these kids to have a fighting chance when they get to a camp, so that their life can potentially change forever.
Right.
And so when I see, Stuart Skinner and all the stuff he's gone through, somebody did some amazing work with him.
Yes.
Whether it was his family or coaches or teammates, or to do what he's done is a marvel to me. Now, he's going into the Stanley Cup Final against Sergei Bobrovsky. There's unless you're part of his family, there's no way he wins a tail of the tape and goal. No, like, Florida's got the advantage. Yes. That doesn't mean that Edmonton can't win. But if you just do the tail of the tape and goal, Sergei Bobrovsky wins. He's
the underdog again. But I think you'd agree with me, and I went on social last night because I'm with you. Everything you just said is how I've been feeling about him. I love a story like that, a comeback story, an underdog story. And I said he is the best story of this conference final. Obviously, Connor McDavid is on a whole nother level. But to me, if you're a sports fan, even just a fan of life, and like what he's done and where he was in the beginning of this playoff, and he went through it last year too, to see how he's battled through that and everything you just said has impressed me so much. And no matter what happens in that final, you can't question his character. You can't. No, my goodness. You know what? And this is a great example for young players, is that even when people are down on you and they kick you around and they spit on you and they throw sand on you and they talk badly about you, you can still get to the top of the mountain. Yep. It comes down to, do you have it here? Do you have it here? Yep. Now, he's got it in both of those places, but you know where else he's got it? He's a big athletic person. He's a tremendously big athletic person. The one save he made, I want to say at the tail end of the first period last night with the right pad, like, that was a critically important save. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, Dallas scores there, we might be talking about game 6 for tomorrow night. Yep. And, another thing too, Pierre, and, I've had you have to teach me this, I'll admit it, at times when I get frustrated with things or people, kill them with kindness. And that's what he's done through everything. Even when he's down, he's doing interviews, he's always complimenting his teammates, owning his mistakes, being upbeat and positive. You never see him sulk his head. He may do that in private, when he gets home to his family or whatever, or, whoever he has that he can lean on, he may vent. I'm sure he's a human being. But publicly, he's been a rock. And I think that the team feeds off that. Yeah, they've got amazing skilled players, Pierre, but you've been in locker rooms. When you see a guy going through something like that and he acts the way he does, I think it rubs off on other players. I love what you just said. I agree. Humble and kind matters. Humble and kind matters. I'd rather have a team full of humble and kind than brash, arrogant, and rude. Exactly. Humble and kind, because you know what? The humble and kind guys, they can be coached. The arrogant, brash, rude. Yep. They don't want to listen. So what you see is what you get from them. If they're good, they're good. They're never going to be great. If they're great, they're never going to be superstar great, because they can't pass that next level. So it's just stuff to think about. But I'm excited for this final. I am too. I love rematches. I really think do. We haven't had one since 08, 09.
Pittsburgh and Detroit. But what's interesting, Jimmy, I think in this one, it could go off the rails fast for Edmonton if they don't win game one. Okay, I'm just
Agreed.
they gotta clean up business in game one, because we saw what happened with Toronto. Toronto took care of business in games 1 and 2.
Yep.
They lost their goalie, Stolarz. They go to 3 and lose 3 in overtime. Then they lose 4. Then they get blown out in 5 at home. They had the surprise attack in 6, and they win in a shot.
Yeah.
And then they come home in 7, and they get absolutely wiped out by Florida. So Florida could go to Edmonton and not win a game. Wouldn't matter to them. They've been down the road. They know what it is. They're fine. But if they take game 1, what could be a really long series, Jimmy, could become a shorter series. That game 1 is far more important for Edmonton than it is for Florida.
I agree. And I actually, when I was sitting there watching the game last night, thinking about how, the script is flipped in terms of who has home advantage, I was like, you know what? First of all, as I pointed out to you, and I forget who put it up there, a fan, credit to whoever it was, pointed out a stat that this is the first time since the 2012 Stanley Cup Final between the Devils and Kings that the two teams in the final have not had home advantage in the first 3 series leading into the final.
Yeah,
so clearly,
that's a good stat.
Yeah, clearly these teams are comfortable playing on the road. I think Florida a little more than Edmonton. I think they're like the road warriors of the NHL. I love how they can go in and just silence a crowd. But I'm with you. Game 1 is huge. It's crazy to say it, but game 1 could dictate the series. I totally agree.
It's more important for Edmonton than it is for Florida. Now, if Florida wins it, it becomes massively important for them, because then I think they see light at the end of the tunnel in a positive way. Here's what I'd like to ask our viewers and listeners. So when we get to the questions, if they want to respond to it, go ahead and respond to it. I'm just going to ask the question. If you think about the Edmonton Oilers and the star power that they have they had a hard time physically, those stars, or have they had more of a free pass? Like the LA series wasn't hard for them. I didn't think, in the second round against Vegas, it was very hard physically for them. And I really didn't think the Dallas series was a physical torture test that I was expecting. Here's what I know. The Florida Panthers, they eat your star players for breakfast. So by the time game 3 comes around, your star players are done. And look at Edmonton guys know that from last year. They know they were down 3-0 in the series. They had so much character to come back. It's amazing. So my question is, because the Edmonton players, the star players, haven't been through the torture test yet, how are they going to respond to the Florida Panther torture test? Because it's coming.
Oh, it's coming.
So that's my question for our viewers and listeners.
All right. And speaking of our viewers and listeners, I know there's some big NHL news. Congratulations, Lane Lambert, getting a head coaching job in Seattle.
Yep.
A couple other items, Pierre, but you know what? We're going to save those for Monday because I know you're up against the clock. You've got
so do the big, and now it's like, I know that Palmieri signed an extension with the Islanders, and I'm so happy for Lane Lambert, who's really one of the salt of the earth guys in the league. Had a terrible tragedy, lost his wife to cancer a few years ago, and has bounced back amazingly well in life. But it's a great opportunity. Jason Botro, I'm going to see Jason this weekend. He's going to be at the same event that I'm going to be at. So I'm looking forward to talking to Jason about that and find out, the trials and tribulations of the search for Seattle. Because it was a lengthy search. I think you would agree.
Yep. And I can see we'll get to it in our questions because people want to know about the Bruins thing. But yeah, so we want to get right to the questions early today, just because we want to get them all in, so we can do a hard out as we can at about 4:55. And Pierre, I'm already in the mood to answer these questions, so let's get right to it. Because we don't have to make a pick today. We've got plenty of time to make series picks. I'll get into that on Monday or Tuesday. Maybe even we'll do a game day Wednesday. But let's get to our sponsors right now, and then we will do the Q&A. So TCS Customs and Logistics. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics. From around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting, TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport. Moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For no obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast@shippedtcs.com. Again, that is sickpodcast@shippedtcs.com. And of course, our wonderful sponsors, at Betway, where you can still go all the way with Betway. And if you sign up as a new member right there with that QR code in front of you, you get up to $200 credit on your first bet. That's right. You can lose and still be paid. And if you're not watching, you can go to the details section there, sign up for the membership, redeem your welcome offer, and you're good to go. Remember, this is not available in Ontario. Terms and conditions apply, and you must be 18 plus and always bet responsibly. I will have tons of picks for you last night. And man, I wish there was a game tonight, Pierre, because I'm on fire with the goal picks. 3 in a row.
Here's what you got. You forgot one thing.
What's that?
You got excellent news today. That
We did.
The eye test and the Sick podcast, thanks to our great sponsors, will be heading to Los Angeles for the NHL entry draft.
That is right. That is correct. And if I could, I would cue some Doors LA women for us right now. I'm very psyched to go to LA. Should be fun.
You forgot that when you went to Vegas, your partner wasn't there, so you had a longer leash.
Yes.
I will be with you in LA. You will have a shorter leash to run with. And you'll see how the draft is actually done and the work that goes into it.
I can't wait.
As much as you want to see Manhattan Beach and Redondo Beach and go to the Cheesecake Factory and some of those places, I get it.
Do that after the draft.
You're going to have a short leash. Anyways,
yes.
you know that I'm joking. I can't wait to get there with you. We're going to have a ton of fun, and we are going to have amazing shows from out there. We're going to have amazing shows.
And a lot of thanks to Betway for this, and obviously our whole Sick Podcast crew for working with them to make it happen. And Pierre, as I promised you, if we were ever in LA, and we got to do it because he's expecting us, my friend Jay Batten, who's originally from Windsor, I told you about him with the pizza place, Garage Pizza. We are all going to Garage Pizza and having the best pizza in LA while we're there.
Can't wait for that. I'll be coming in hot from the Hockey Hall of Fame selection committee.
That's right. Very excited about that.
Yeah, I'll be there. It's the Monday and Tuesday before the draft, that week of the draft. So
Pierre, speaking of the Hockey Hall of Fame, our good friend of ours was honored today with the Ferguson Award. Frankie Gagne, welcome.
Frankie, I couldn't be happier for Frankie. Spent a lot of nights on the road with Frankie back in the day, and he's a fun guy, and he's a very talented writer. Very talented.
He is. I know when I lived in LA, he was very good to me. Got me some regular work with CTV, so I'm forever in gratitude.
No, you never lived in LA. You lived in Montreal.
Montreal. See, LA is on my mind already.
That's why you're going to have a short leash.
All right, let's get to the Q&A. What do we got? All right, Juice _031017. Pierre, how did you become a member of the Hall of Fame committee, and what does being a member of the selection committee mean to you?
I got a call from Lanny McDonald on a Monday morning, and it was a number that I didn't recognize, so I thought it was somebody wanting to do an interview. And I recognized Lanny's voice right away, and he goes, Pierre, would you be interested, with his Albertan accent, being a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame selection committee? And I said, is this a gag? Are you like pulling my leg, messing around with me? And he goes, no, I'm not. He goes, it's a time-consuming job, and there's no pay involved, but we think you would be good on it. And I said, I'm so honored. I can't wait. I said, do I have to do anything? He goes, well, yeah, you're going to have to sign some papers and read some legal stuff, but yeah. So he says, well, get that to you right away. And he says, are you in? I said, 100%. I hung up the phone. I sat on the end of my bed in my house, at my family's house, and I cried.
That's
I
awesome.
did. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't believe this. It's so amazing. And then you get there for your first meeting. It's a pretty intimidating thing. I can't talk too much more about that, but you're in there the first time. And I called a friend of mine who's on the committee, and I said, hey, like, what am I supposed to do in the first meeting? He says, sit down and shut up. That's what I did. That's what I did. Until I was asked a question, didn't say a word.
That's great. So Lanny does the same. So he's the guy that calls the committee.
Well, yeah. So that's how Lanny does it. And then Mike Gartner, Mike Gardner was doing it. Now it's Ronnie Francis. So now it's Ronnie's job to do that.
Okay.
And we just got 2 new members on the committee this year. Eddie Olchuk is part of it now, and Jerome McGinley is part of it now. I had just, and again, I don't like to give too much away because you can't, but I can tell you what, both those guys will be great additions. And I had the best talk with Jerome earlier this year about a couple things, and he's going to be a really, really good addition to the committee, tremendous addition. I can't say much more about the other stuff. It's, as Jimmy knows, it's pretty. I don't tell Jimmy anything, and I would tell
guys,
if there was anybody
I
I would tell. If there's anybody I'd tell, it'd be Jimmy, because I'd like to get him the scoops, but I don't say anything. It's like, no, I can't, and I don't, so I won't.
So that will be great for you. And again, congratulations to Francois Gagnon.
Yeah,
one of the best up there in Montreal. All right, what else we got? Kevin McClafferty, our Islanders guys. Hi, guys. Just wanted some clarity on potential Stacey Rose hire for the Isles. Yesterday, Pierre seemed adamant, but nothing's been announced. And a good friend of mine is telling me not so fast.
well, that could be, but I heard from other people that it was. So I don't know. Stacey's, all I can say is this: Stacey Roos is a really good hockey man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really, really good hockey man. So I don't know, if somebody's putting his name out there. I don't know if it's a trial balloon. I don't know, but I can tell you one thing: he was a heck of a player. He was a really, really good player, and he's a very good hockey person. He'd be let's put it this way: if the Islanders hire him, that's a great hire.
Yep. All right. Next question. Alex Ivanowski, thoughts on Jarmo Kekalainen joining the Sabres? I'm a huge fan of his. Alex, I immediately, when I saw it, I said, great move by the Sabres. I like it a lot. I'm also a fan of him too. Remember, a lot of what you're seeing coming to fruition in Columbus right now, he was part of that. So congratulations to Jarmo.
I've known Jarmo since 1988. He was playing at Clarkson. I was coaching at St. Lawrence. And he used to come and train with us in the summer times when he was just signing with Boston. Yeah. So I've known Jarmo a long time, a real long time. Boston. We worked together in Ottawa. Jarmo was a GM of IFK Helsinki, and he brought me over and talked to me about being the coach of their team before he came back to the NHL. And when Jarmo was coaching in St. Louis, or not coaching, scouting, when John Davidson took over, John had been my partner on the air at NBC. So Jarmo asked me to set up a meeting with he and John because he didn't know John. And there's a lot of rumors that John was going to bring in his own people. And I was like, I don't think John's like that. I think John's really a fair person. I'd worked with him and had known John for well over 20 years. Mm-hmm. And he and Jarmo became best friends. Awesome. So Jarmo's going to be a good addition. They need veteran experience here. We talked about it when they brought in Eric Stahl. Eric's a good hockey man, but he doesn't have nearly the experience of management decision-making. Jarmo clearly does. Jarmo's been a pro scout, an amateur scout, a GM in Europe. He's been a scout in Europe. He's been an assistant GM in the NHL. He's been a director of amateur scouting, and he's been a GM. So Jarmo's got a lot of experience. He'll help the Buffalo process a lot. I'm very happy for him. Very happy for Jarmo.
Awesome. Good stuff. Congratulations to him. All right, next question. CB, did you see Dalibor Dvorsky play at all this season? Thoughts on his ceiling and chances of making the NHL next season? Likewise with Sandin Pellikka. Thanks, guys.
Well, Sandin Pellikka, let's do him first. He's a mobile, offensively aware defenseman. Detroit doesn't make a mistake on those guys. He'll be in there. I think they'll probably give him a little time in the American League. He ripped up the World Junior. He's got a bomb of a shot. He's got great peripheral vision. He makes great tape-to-tape passes. And he's a vastly underrated defender. I just wish he was a little bigger, but that will come in terms of physical strength. I just wish he was a little bigger. What was the first guy? The first one was...
It was Dvorsky.
Oh, yeah, Dalibor Dvorsky. He's very talented. I saw him a lot. Played World Junior, played American League in Springfield, played a little bit in the NHL. High offensive upside, tremendous offensive upside. Really talented kid. Really talented.
All right, next question. Randy Workman. What's up, Randy? I think Bouchard has proven himself as a big-name D-man this playoffs. I think he might get near $10 million on his next contract. Jimmy and Pierre, what are your thoughts?
Go ahead,
I
Jimmy.
agree with you. I agree with you.
So
His
I would-
shot is an X
Yeah.
factor.
This shot's huge. I would be using Jake Sanderson as a comparable, and work off of that. I think if you're the agent, that's a good contract to work off of. I think it's fair. There are pluses and minuses for both guys. Sanderson doesn't have Bouchard's shot. Bouchard doesn't have Sanderson's skating ability. You know, Sanderson has really good defensive awareness. Bouchard's maybe not as good. Sanderson's got maybe, not as much high octane offense. Bouchard's got huge high octane offense. So they're give and takes, but that'd be the comparable I would use probably on Bouchard.
All right. Next question. McMahon is 7. Isn't that a bigger issue for the Panthers? McDavid and Draisaitl both look very healthy. Neither was last year. So do we think they're going to present a bigger issue here because they're both healthy?
They will. They could. They could for sure. But here's what I know. Lundell could provide a huge problem for Edmonton. We saw it against Carolina. Nobody's talking about Lundell.
Nope.
And so the one thing I would say, Hyman's not playing for Edmonton. I don't know if Lustarinen's playing for Florida. That's a big loss for them too, because let's just say they put Mackie Samoskevich in, or they put Boquist in. Neither one of those guys does, what the other guy does.
Yeah.
Like Lustarinen's a nasty piece of business to play against.
Yeah.
And I just think Lundell and Nosek at the bottom end of the lineup cause a lot more problems than Henrique and Janmark.
Yeah.
I do.
I remember, Pierre, during that when Florida upset the Bruins after the Bruins had that amazing regular season 2023.
Yeah.
And I texted you from the Garden during, it must have been game 1 or 2. And I'm like, Pierre, who the hell is this Lundell guy? Like, holy bleep. He is just driving the Bruins nuts. And he's only gotten better from there. I mean, you could just tell.
The one thing, if you're a fan and you really want to study player development, because Jimmy's right, I remember that call. You got to go watch Lundell's World Juniors, and you can see the progress and eventually the domination. And I've always had the theory, and it doesn't mean it's right, but it's just my theory for me. If you can physically and athletically dominate a World Junior, you have the potential, I didn't say you will, but you have the potential to be a star earlier in the NHL than some of the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was able to do that. And you could see the progression as the tournaments went along. He's a really, really talented kid.
He's smart out there too. All right, next question. Nicholas Alexander, any update on the Bruins? I think he means Bruins coaching search from yesterday, Jimmy. I do not have an update. All I will say is that I keep hearing Woodcroft is still in there, but I haven't confirmed that. I'm not gonna say that's confirmed.
I just have a question because I know the Bruins aren't leaking.
Yeah,
I know Donnie Sweeney's not leaking, and because you're not getting anything.
No,
and I know Cam's not leaking.
That's a vault.
That's what I mean. So they're not leaking. So who's leaking?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you who's looking at me, Pierre.
No, I'm not saying it that way. I'm just saying, like, okay, so we know the two decision makers aren't leaking.
Yeah.
So my challenge is, and who is leaking? And I think I know who's leaking.
Mm-hmm. It has to do with the discussion we had earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think I'm right. And you don't have to say anything else.
I won't say anything else. One question I did have, and I know, you know what? No, we'll talk about it off air. I'll ask you if I can ask it on Monday. How's that?
Yep,
say?
that's good.
Right. Next question. Steve Lash. I was reading a story on The Athletic about the Penguins coaching search. Elaine Nasruddin's name was mentioned, given he was a Penguin at one point and even played with Sid. Thoughts on that?
Well, he coached there too.
I was just going to say.
And he ended up in Jersey because Tommy Fitz had him in Pittsburgh. Alain's a really good hockey man. He's a very good coaching defenseman. I don't know if he's ever run a bench a little bit, I think, but in Jersey, a little bit in Jersey.
Yep.
A little bit in Jersey. But Alain's a good hockey person. I don't know. I still think it's going to be somebody with Ontario League or major junior tie-ins in Pittsburgh. But, you hear more like Mitch Love's names out there, DJ Smith's names out there.
Well, you've been all over DJ Smith for a while, Pierre, and it seems like he's really a front runner there. So
his name should be in it because I know he's got a relationship with those guys. He worked in Toronto too.
Yep.
He worked there when Spezza was playing, and he worked there when Dubas was in management there with Lou. So I don't know.
All right. Next question. CB, you mentioned Maverick Bork earlier. Curious if you see him as an A or B prospect and what the potential is. Interested in hearing your thoughts on Liam Bichsel and his potential and performance. I was very impressed with Bichsel.
Yeah. Bichel's upside is gigantic because you can't teach the size. Maverick Bork's a really talented kid. Made a mistake. He made a mistake last night. It's a tough position. He just got reckless with his stick. I think he's a B plus to an A level prospect because of his points. Anybody that can lead the American Hockey League in scoring's got a real chance to score. He's like that. I had a guy like that, Terry Yake. Terry Yake was a good, industrious, hardworking, second-tier offensive player. There's a lot of Terry Yake and Maverick Bork. There's a lot of similarities there.
All right, next question. D. Smith, what are you guys' thoughts on Laval versus Checkers series? Is Laval done? I think they need to put in Tuck and Arsenault for a much bigger physical presence. We were just talking about that off air, and I haven't been watching as close as Pierre and Shane, our producer, but just from afar, I said an experience, and Pierre and Shane agreed with me. You can go from there, Pierre, if you want.
No, you keep going because you're on it. I think it's great.
I think they're learning. I think that we maybe for the first time that's really coming through how they are and how inexperienced they are, and it's a great win or lose. It's an awesome moment for them, but I think that's been a difference. And Charlotte's a tough team, man. They grind you.
I thought going in this would be a tough series for Laval to win. I said it, and I'll make sure I said it on this show. I know Charlotte's team pretty well. They got bigger bodies. They got a lot of veteran experience.
Yep.
They've done a nice job, doing that. I think, in terms of what they've been able to do down there. So, no, they deserve a lot of credit. They've done a good job there. It's Florida Panthers. It's another one of their extensions.
It trickles down.
It just trickles down, exactly.
All right, next question. Bert L., how do teams, particularly AHL and ECHL, balance winning with the development of players? Great question. Learning how to win is obviously important, but sometimes a prospect's development comes at a cost of less teams wins. Bert, you summed it up yourself.
You said it perfectly well.
Yeah, a great point.
You want guys playing, but you also want to make sure there's not fake reward. So if a guy's playing poorly and you're the head coach and they keep getting the messages from up top saying, you got to play this guy, and you're like, but sir, he's not playing well. Like, we can't send the wrong message. We're not going to reward a guy that's not playing well, and he's not paying attention to coaching, and he's not a good teammate. Like, there's a lot of guys, they get slapped around pretty good. And so the most progressive teams, smartest teams, they trust their coaching staff in the minors. They may, as a management team at the NHL level, you may make subtle suggestions to your American League team or to your East Coast Hockey League team. But more times than not, if you don't have a good staff down there, you're not going to develop players anyways. That was one of my big things, and I learned that from Scotty a long time ago. Montreal never took shortcuts with their farm team, ever. No. And, I know this is going to sound self-serving. It's not meant to be. When I was a young guy starting out, there'd be nights where we had off nights. I'd get on a U.S. Air flight and fly U.S. Air into Detroit and connect into Muskegon, Michigan. And I'd go there, I'm not kidding you, do practices with our coaches and players and fly right back the next day. I'm not kidding you. So we felt that it was important for our players to be recognized and for our coaches down there to know we trusted them and we respected them. And that's what we did. And it worked well. Worked really well.
All right. Next question. TG, can you explain the Isles contract situation with Palmieri? They said Lou had the contract in his draw. What exactly does that mean? The contract was signed but not announced, or something else?
Well, I didn't. All I know is he signed, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So the contract in the drawer, that's an old-fashioned term. That used to be when we didn't have trade calls and other things. So you could maybe say to a player, look, we're only going to announce a one-year deal on you. but really it's a 2-year. But the other one, we're going to keep it in the drawer until next year, but it's signed. Don't worry, we got it. You can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. So all the contracts go to a clearinghouse and they have to be approved. So, and they go right on the cap. So
I was surprised.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's a euphemism for sure. I was surprised though, Pierre. Like and this is nothing against Palmieri. I love him as a player. I just wondered if maybe Darsh wants to move on from some of these guys. He wants to bring in some of his own guys, but it was pretty fast.
I wouldn't move on. I wouldn't move on from Palmieri.
Yeah.
First of all, here's a dirty little secret on Kyle. Ray Sherrill brought him the jersey from Anaheim.
I remember that.
Okay. And he played really well there.
Yep.
So Kyle Palmieri is a kid that went to St. Joe's in Montvale. It's a regional high school. They had good hockey, and he was too good a player from there. And he moved on and eventually went to Notre Dame, and then he was too good for that, and he moved on to major junior. But Kyle Palmieri is a kid from there. Like they're getting more of those, but he was one of the first ones. So those guys have a lot of pride in being there. Nice. And it's not a foreign concept to live in the tri-state area for them because that's where they grew up.
And they know the meaning of it. All right, next question. FFFF. Do NHL teams have shooting coaches? I noticed that very few players make slap shots anymore.
Well, they do, except for Bush. That Bouchard kid.
I don't know what they call that.
In Edmonton, man, he can rip the slap. Reminds me of Al McInnes. Like I'm just
telling you. I was thinking of that the other day.
Al could absolutely rip it. Like Al McInnes was doing that with a wood stick.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable how hard Al could shoot it. I mean, I'll just before we get to it, but no, they do have shooting coaches, just so FFF understands. They do have shooting coaches, skill development coaches. I work with Rick Keogh in Pittsburgh, and Rick Keogh, Jaromir Jagr would tell you if he was ever on this show. He learned how to score from 10 feet or out further from Rick Keogh. Rick Keogh was a former 50-goal scorer in the NHL, really taught Jaromir how to shoot. He really did. And Jaromir was lucky to have had Rick on the staff. Rick really helped him a lot.
Awesome. Next, you want to say one more thing?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I was going to say about the late, because it's an Islander tie-in. The late Mike Bossy had an amazing theory. I used to talk to him about it, and it was he thought every team should have a guy that could teach players how to score. He said you wouldn't see the numbers, it wouldn't be exponential,
right?
But it would add maybe 2 or 3 more goals per player. Yeah, and maybe some would get 5 or 6 or 7 more. But Mike really felt that. Really long talks, probably like 3 or 4 years before Mike passed away about that. He was really certain.
We have goalie coaches, we have defense coaches, so why not that? I think Mike was right.
Yeah, no, he was right about that. I think too. I think Pierre Turgeon, who's now in the Hockey Hall of Fame, I think he kind of had a role like that in LA. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know what happened, but he moved on from there. But I think he might have had a bit of a role like that in LA.
Where is Pierre right now?
Pierre Turgeon? He's in the Hall of Fame. He goes to Mario's fantasy camp every year.
Okay.
I think he's mostly in Florida now.
He's not coaching anywhere right now?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Oh, by the way, for those out there, check out, you brought up Jagr, so I thought of this, and I thought it was a great stat. This guy listed all the former teammates of Jaromir Jagr that have made the Stanley Cup.
That's a good one. That is playing the cup. There was also, just so everybody, there was a picture, Jimmy sent it to me, of Ronnie, Mario, and Jaromir from the 96-97 year that they played together. And they had massive amounts of points. The name of the line, I was surprised it wasn't on the picture, is the Skyline. That's what it was called in Pittsburgh, the Skyline. And Mario was hurt good portions of that year, but Mario didn't play center that year with that line. Mario played on the left wing, even though he's a right shot. And Jaromir, who's a left shot, was playing on the right side.
How do you stop that?
Yeah, good luck. So
all right.
France get tossed out of taking a face-off, and in comes Mario. Good luck.
I wonder if he ever did it on purpose just to mess with them. Next question. Joel Krevitz. Whom of David Reinbacher or Logan Mailloux do you see with the Canadians next year? And do you feel that Matheson could be moved?
No, I don't think Matheson will.
I don't either.
I don't think so at all. And I think both of those guys could start the season in Montreal.
Exactly. I feel the same way. All right. Next question. Ethan Russell, could you see Bo Horvat being moved? He's a popular name out there right now. Could you see that he's a good fit for Boston? Only thing I'll say quickly, Pierre, in this is, and this is no knock on Bo Horvat, but I wonder, and not just him, other guys too, right? You're seeing supposedly a lot of teams being interested in him, or a lot of guys being interested in that guy. And I want to ask you, are players' values being inflated because of how many teams are looking for the same position on the trade market?
Could be. Here's the one thing that's kind of shocking to me, because I like the way you phrase that, because I think you're onto something there.
Mhm.
What's shocking to me, Jimmy, how many people that are really big-time fans, like I can tell by the tone of the notes,
Yeah.
these are very big-time fans. How many of them would not be afraid to trade within a conference or within the division? Like, if I'm Boston right now, I think I'm battling against the Islanders to maybe get that last playoff position in the East in the wild card. Why do I want to make a deal with them?
I know.
So I've never seen more like fans, like, and hardcore fans. It doesn't mean they're wrong, but hardcore fans are just
Different
like
mentality now.
You know
Pierre.
what I mean? Like,
noticed it
just
too.
make the trade. We just want the player. It doesn't matter if he's in our division or
Yep.
it doesn't matter if he's in our conference. I'm like, well, it actually might.
He comes back to haunt you 4 times a year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drop too many names. We had a lot of success taking players from other teams in the East.
Philly, Pitt.
Yeah, Philly, Hartford. I mean, we took a lot of players from a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And they paid the price for that. I don't know. I've always been pretty careful about that.
Breaking news. Randy wants us to know it's college hockey news. I don't know if you pull that right there, Pierre.
Yeah, that's been kind of out there for a while.
Okay.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
North Dakota's got a brand new coaching staff. They've I don't know. I wouldn't say underachieved.
Underwhelmed.
They've been underwhelming for them, and so
they're going to go hard.
I think the major junior thing is right in their backyard. Like, I know what I'd be doing if I was coaching there. I would own the Western Hockey League, and I would own everything from BC to Brandon. I'd own it.
Yeah,
and I know Denver would have a lot to say about it. I know Duluth would have a lot to say about it, and I think Colorado College may have something to say about it. But I'm just telling you, I would be hardcore on it if I were Dakota. I'd be so hard on it.
Shane, our producer, also letting us know that Keaton Verhoof, am I pronouncing that right, is going to North Dakota as well. Projected top 2 pick.
Yeah, he is not this year, next year.
Yeah,
that's 100%. That's 100. So that's what I'm saying. They get it now. I'm just telling you. Like, I haven't talked to their coach.
You said it, Pierre. You said it when we were in Lake Placid in mid-March.
Yep.
Yeah, right after they missed their they missed the tournament, they missed the NCAAs, and you're like, watch out for them in the off season, man. They're not
no mercy. They're like Duke in basketball. Okay,
exactly.
They want a player, they can get a player.
Yep.
And if you've never been to hockey, and I don't mean you, Jimmy, but if for a fan, if you've never been to a game in Dakota, you should try.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list for sure.
It's really a unique spot. It's amazing. The fans are awesome, just awesome. And Grand Forks is a pretty cool town. Mm-hmm. There's some great restaurants in Grand Forks, and the nightlife's pretty good too.
All right, well, there we go. Am I going with the leash?
You will have the leash there for sure.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, Jimmy and Pierre, will you do a mock draft show before the draft?
I don't think so.
Probably not, Randy, but
I don't think we'll do a mock draft. I think what we'll do is we'll talk
analyze
about the players.
Yep.
Because this draft's all over. It's just too hard to predict. I think one of the things that we'll be able to provide will also be the NHL trades that are going to happen.
Yes.
And how that's going to affect a lot of the depth, because I think this is going to be a big trade draft.
Mm-hmm.
Could be wrong, but I think this will be a big trade draft.
So as well. All right, next question. Juice _ 031017. There's no guaranteed Rasmus Anderson returns to Calgary. If so, what teams would be interested in the blue line?
Everybody.
Yep. Long line.
If I were Montreal, I would have significant interest.
Yep. If I were the Bruins, I'd look into him as well.
Oh my gosh, the Bruins definitely. New York Rangers.
Rangers.
So many.
Yeah.
I go down the line. New Jersey Devils, Philly, Dallas.
Yeah.
LA.
That's why I said yesterday, right? Was it yesterday? I said Calgary's going to be an intriguing team soon to watch.
Yeah, they will be. They will. But I hope. See, I like what they've done there. I think Craig's doing a really good job with his staff there.
Yeah.
And I just don't. They can't afford too many defections, Jimmy, yet. They just don't have enough yet through the pipeline. I think they're starting to, but there's not enough in the pipeline.
You still got to have that good mix of veterans in there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, I don't know. And I wouldn't want to see Anderson go. Just like as much as I think Naz would be really good, I wouldn't – if I'm a Calgary fan, I don't want Naz traded up.
Yeah, totally. All right, next question. Randy Workman, Pierre, have you been involved in the rules change progress? How complicated does it get?
I have not. The one rule that I think most people know, they could Google it. I was very outspoken about taking the red line out because I witnessed the dead puck era and I coached in the dead puck era. And we, as coaches, we were all guilty. Every single guy that coached in the league when I was coaching, because we were teaching the tactics that were killing the game. We were taking offense out of the game. We were teaching stuff that should never have been taught. And we all did it. I did it. Everybody did it. So Jacques Lemaire did it. Pat Burns did it. Pat Quinn did it. Everybody did it. I'm just telling Scotty did it. We all did it. We were wrong, all of us. So I was very bullish on getting the red line out, but I've never been part of any rules committee, no.
All right. Next question. Juice _ 031017. Is Nick Suzuki already at his ceiling as a player, or is there another gear that he can get to? I think he can still get to another gear.
Another gear. He's got another gear. I know people that are fans of Quebec and Colorado say, you can't do that. He reminds me of Joe Sakic. I'm just telling you. And Joe just kept going like this. Joe was something else. Joe was something else, man. I'll tell you a good Joe Sakic story. Coaching in the All-Star game in '92 in Philly. And that's when coaches went on the ice with their skates and they were just starting all that skills competition stuff. So Scotty says, I want Sakic to be in the shootout. So I went to all the players that were going to be in the shootout. And Joe said to me, I'm not comfortable doing this, Pierre. I don't want to do it. Because he was like the youngest guy on the team. So I go, what? He goes, no. He goes, you should put Ray Ferraro in. So I said, okay. So I went to Ray. I said, hey, you're going to do the shootout. And he said, oh, good. I can't wait. But Joe didn't want to do it. So he didn't do it.
Wow. Hey, what a treat it was. I've only met him in professional setting, but what a treat it was to meet him in more relaxed personal setting in Belfast, Pierre. How cool was that?
Joe,
yeah.
That was great.
Sat in the box with us.
Awesome guy.
Yeah, he's such a good guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Joe's special. He's on the Hall of Fame. He's on the Hall of Fame committee.
Yep. Next question. Bert L., what is the biggest misconception fans have about head coaches? Anything you wish fans would understand better about being a head coach of an NHL team?
See, I think the fans are pretty good and understand that.
Maybe it's the GMs that aren't so good at it.
Yeah, that could be.
Right,
I think one of the things that people don't know is about time zone travel and what coaches have to do about that.
Right.
And how they manage their roster, how they manage their practice planning, how they manage their travel schedule. It's become more and more scientific, and coaches are really a big part of that. So I don't know if fans are really plugged in on that. And then the other thing is, I get it. Everybody has to get fired. I totally understand. But I wish fans wouldn't make it so personal on the coach. Like, these guys have families, and those kids read all that nasty stuff, you know. I've been through it. It's you can go after hey, look, if the guy get fired, the guy got fired. You want to kick some sand on him, kick it, but you don't have to make it personal.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, Pierre, because I did want to get this off my chest. Like, I know we both agreed. Pete DeBoer took a risk and lost last night. And
yeah, he swung for the fence and he struck out. It happens.
He's human, though. There's no need to attack him as a person or anything. Like, I see all this hate on social, and it's like, they're probably not on there, but like Pierre said, it gets back to them. They got kids, they got people that are on.
Trust me, your kids know. Trust me, your kids know.
It hurts. So, like, just remember they're human.
Yeah.
All right, next question. John Smith, get in your time machine, guys. It's July 2nd. Do the Habs have their 2C? Yes.
You think that fast, huh?
I think the trade is done either at or just after the draft, in between, like from the 30th to the 1st, in that little sequence there.
Okay, so I'm gonna believe you. I am. I'm gonna go with what you said because I know how hard you work to find this stuff out. I'm gonna agree with Jimmy with one caveat.
Mm-hmm.
One caveat: if it's not done by the last part of the draft, then I think it's going to go into the middle of July.
Okay, I'll agree with that. I just, what's in my head right now? Because this was probably one of the biggest trades. And I remember, Pierre, you were on the air with Mitch.
Don't say the McDonough trade. Oh, man.
If I'm not mistaken, it was June 30th of that year. It was,
man. I lost it. I don't think I've ever been that angry. Right?
It was Monday. I remember.
I don't know if I've ever been that angry.
I was pulled over on the side of 89 South in Vermont, driving down to Boston. I remember it vividly.
Oh, so I remember it too. Because when I was doing the show, I was in the lobby of the Westin Hotel in Toronto.
Yep.
And I had to sit down. When he told me about it, I was like, "You're kidding, right?" He goes, "I'm not kidding."
Oh, yeah.
And then I found out about why. And there's certain things I can share and certain things I can't. But there was somebody involved in the Canes organization that thought that Ryan McDonough maybe didn't have the greatest character. I'm like, who said that? Whoever said that should be fired immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be fired immediately. Like, that's not true.
I just remember we were parked and we were getting.
Oh, I was so angry.
With my ex-girlfriend, and she didn't listen to that much. I'm like, oh yeah, this is my friend Pierre. Like, he comes on, he's a great guy, and you're going, and she goes, he's pretty animated about this, huh? Like, he's really. I'm like,
well, I knew. So I would, as somebody that cared about the team, about the Canadians,
that's what I explained.
I'm looking at a defense for 10 to 12 years of Subban on the right side and McDonough on the left side, and I'm going, okay, like. Let's just say they don't play in the 1-2 hole because Markov's still there.
Yeah.
Let's just say they don't play in the 1-2 hole. Let's say they play in the 3-4 hole. How about that for 10 to 12 years?
Right.
Anyways, I'm glad Ryan didn't disappoint. Ryan McDonough, Stanley Cup champion, amazing man. Amazing man.
Great leader. Great leader.
What a teammate. Just all you need to do, if you don't believe me, go watch his 1,000th game celebration in Tampa from this year and watch what his teammates say and do for him. Mm-hmm. And watch what the Tampa Bay Lightning ownership group does for him.
Yep.
He's an amazing person. He is one of the truly great people that have ever been in the National Hockey League, Ryan McDonough.
I'm with you on that. And by the way, somebody just noting to me too that the Subban trade was in that same time frame that we're talking about, right? As the draft ends into free agency. So the Canadians are infamous. Let's hope this deal goes a lot better. Let's just say that. All right. Next question. Juice_031017. Pierre, what are your thoughts on the Memorial Cup going into the final games of the tournament?
Med Hat's obviously in good position right now. Willie Desjardins got his team going. What a good coaching showdown. Willie's got a wealth of experience. Against obviously Dale Hunter. I mean, that's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. So I don't know. I mean,
all right. Next question.
Here's what I'd say. Memorial Cup. I thought London Knights would win the Memorial Cup, but Medicine Hat's tough to. I mean, they're good.
All right. This is going to be the last one. Next question. What do we got? Or is that it? I think we're good. Good job, Shane. We appreciate it. Thanks to everyone out there for the questions. Pierre, enjoy the wedding rehearsal and the wedding tomorrow, and give the Shiros my best.
Yep.
It should be great. And we will talk. I'll talk to you over the weekend, but we will see everybody back here on Monday, and we will start to get in-depth previewing the Stanley Cup Final. And again, thank you to Betway and to our crew at the Sick Podcast Network.
Yep.
We will be broadcasting live in LA from the 2025 NHL Draft. Looking forward to it. Until Monday, have a great weekend. Get some rest, and we'll get back into the hockey next week. See you later.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.